What's up, guys? It is Monday, October 10th. It's 12:32 p.m. and this is the newsletter. So we're going to talk about another crypto conspiracy that involves not Kendra Hill, but Tony Valentino. So a lot of people liked the video yesterday. They thought it was very interesting, and I would have to agree with that because back when I first originally saw them back in like 2018, 2019, when a couple of these like accounts just spawned out of nowhere. There's been a bunch of just anonymous accounts pop up, insiders claiming that they're insiders, but their messages were kind of just posted with a lot of conviction and a lot of deep thought. And when you came across it, it got you to think, and it made you feel as if like when you came across it was the truth, right? You can always feel when something is the truth and what's a lie. And these kind of stuck with me for the past years. I've been in XRP since 2016. So a bunch of these accounts really just kind of disappeared. And sometimes they'd come back and sometimes they go away. And this seems to be his second account because there was a bunch more tweets. And I remember he did come back for a little bit around like March of 2021, but he was posting initially back in like 2018, 2019 with a bunch of thought-provoking posts. So I'm going to read them again, just like the video yesterday. If you haven't seen that video from yesterday, I definitely suggest you to. It's the XRP and XLM crypto conspiracy, Kendra Hill. It was the October 7th newsletter. So if you haven't already, watch that. And now let's dive in. So Tony Valentino, he had said a lot of things that had rung true and are ringing true now. And a lot of things that were not yet discovered, which kind of he posted and then people looked into it and then it started to really all make sense and the piece started to come together. So I'm going to read some of his posts. So let's do it. So back here, we have people think that, and this is September 5th, 2019, all before COVID, all before everything that has unfolded the past basically 3 years now. People think that mass adoption for XRP means every bank, company, institution needs to hold XRP to use XRP. This is not the case. Ripple's tech integration with every major banking payment software providers means instant on-demand liquidity using XRP will be in the cloud. Now let's keep moving forward. With their Belt and Road Initiative, they are winning over nations with trade promises while the US invades, threatens with sanctions, and bullies nations into submission. This is threatening the US dollar. This will kill the SWIFT system and the US dollar standard. Guys, this is way before everything that's unfolded this year with the US sanctioning Russia. And now Russia is trying to get the BRICS nations together and other nations are joining BRICS to develop a alternative to SWIFT. And they have a digital new unit of account that they're trying to make a new global reserve currency. And then you have coming up, I believe, late October or November, the Moscow World Standard, since Russia was banned from the LBMA, Libma Gold Standard. Now they're launching their own Moscow World Standard, and it's going to be based on gold and other commodities, as well as it's going to have a fixed price relative to their local currencies. And a lot of the things that were said back in the day by these anonymous accounts were things like that. And it's crazy 3 years later how it's playing out now. But this is why we talked about SWIFT for the past years. This is why we talked about BRICS. This is why we talked about all these things. Because now it seems like today, 2022, was the start of all this really unraveling. So, okay, so let's keep moving forward. But Russia and China are today capable of standing up to the US military. This is why they've launched their own World Bank equivalent, AIIB, and BRICS. Major global economies like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa working together. China is also going full steam ahead. We are entering a brand new world. We won't recognize it when the dust settles. Changes are coming. We have to wait for negotiations to complete. In life, we cannot be certain about much, but I've never been more certain of XRP becoming the world's digital reserve asset. And if you haven't seen the Phoenix video, the world currency, I posted that, I think like a week or 2 weeks back. At the end of that video, we have Brad Garlinghouse on stage saying that the creators of XRP had one simple goal of making it a world's digital reserve currency. So this is all just like coming together full circle. All right, let's keep moving forward. So then we have this. Here are the screenshots of Tony Valentino's thread that got wiped out the other day about XRP. This was back in 2021 that it got wiped, but he had posted it in 2019, kind of like Kendra Hill. So let's see what it says. Bank of Canada has 0 gold holdings. How can they go to a gold standard? There are many countries in a similar position. This means they all can't individually declare a gold standard for sound money. The US dollar was once backed by gold, but it was too restrictive and failed. When the dollar was no longer backed by gold, the US made a deal with the Saudi-led OPEC. Sell oil only in dollars. Made sense at the time because currencies were already pegged to a gold-backed US dollar, so now that the gold backing was dropped, they could still remain pegged. Because of the need for US dollars to purchase oil, being pegged to the USD meant that whatever happens to the US economy affects everyone, as we see today with the trade war. Also, since the US dollar was both a sovereign currency and the global reserve, this meant that the US had an advantage over nations. The demand for the US dollar was strong. The US would print money and exchange it for goods abroad. This also meant that the US had total control over the international payment system SWIFT. Since the world traded in US dollars, the US could. And what he was talking about here, how the US dollar is both a sovereign currency and the global reserve. That's the Triffin dilemma, or the Triffin dilemma. And he had said that eventually it wouldn't work, that the country that has both that kind of dual responsibility would go bankrupt. So that's why in my course videos on Stargate's website, we talk about and teach about the Triffin dilemma. We teach about the petrodollar, which he's talking about now. We teach about the Bancor, the IMF, the SDR, because this is the biggest thing to happen in a very long time. And once it's done, it's done. You're either in or you're out. So if you don't know about all that stuff, go onto the website and really get going on those courses, because Agartha's heat, and it will teach you and show you the road leading forward and kind of where we were before, where we're at now, and where we're going to end up. And we're close to the ending grand finale of this. So the US could dictate and bully every other nation. They could unilaterally sanction foreign nations and restrict/prevent them from using the SWIFT payment system like they did with Russia. This was allowed for decades because the US was a superpower, the largest economy. No one could challenge the US. Nations would adhere to sanctions out of fear they too would be restricted from using the SWIFT. And this would affect their trade and hurt their economies. Nations like Iraq and Libya, whose leaders tried to sell their oil in euros and gold, were invaded and executed. The message was clear. Don't challenge the US dollar, because if they did sell oil for euros and gold, this would have meant the end of US dominance and the end of the SWIFT system. Every nation would then want to trade using different currencies and assets. So you can imagine why the US had to act quick and stop nations from trading in anything but the USD. All this went on while China and Russia were building up militarily and economically. China, now being the second largest economy, will be the world's largest economy in a few years. The US imposed numerous sanctions on Russia and other nations. They used their media to portray these nations as the enemy and sell you stories to back up their claims. No nation is perfect, especially the US. Its thirst for war and global dominance. But Russia and China are today capable of standing up to the US militarily. I think he's trying to say military. This is why they launched their own World Bank equivalent AIIB and BRICS. Major global economies like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa working together. China is also going full steam ahead with their Belt and Road Initiative. They're winning over nations with trade promises while the US invades, and we read that before. This is one of the reasons the US wages trade wars against China. The US is not stupid. They know the US dollar standard cannot go on forever. They know the world is changing and they must adapt or die. But they are a proud and power-hungry nation. They won't want to lose out to China. Some think Trump is some genius who has thought of these trade wars with China by himself. No, look at the bigger picture. Try and see how this is just the US negotiating their way to trade deals before the US dollar standard comes to an end. Trump is just closing the final chapter. The US understands they will no longer have US advantage. And this is why they now require trade deals and tariffs, because they now need to be as competitive as any other nation in order to prosper. No more silver spoon. So Trump is just following orders as his predecessors. This will be the new world order. All nations under one umbrella organization. Centralized power. The UN will be the next superpower, guys. You got to watch my last couple months videos. Like, we've been tracking this to a T. The UN will be the next superpower. Every nation's laws will be decided at the UN. The puppet government structures will remain, but they will be answerable to the UN. This will be another topic for another day. So what the world has been asking for all this while is to be able to trade using whatever currency or asset they wish. This means democratizing the payment system. This would render SWIFT invalid unless they adapt R3 Corda, which is partnered with the DTCC, to have their blockchain DLT alternative settlement mechanism that's live now. This will eventually make the UN the new bully on the block, and nations will get to decide who not to trade with if they step out of line. Again, centralized power will come to play, another topic for another day. Now I want to ask you, which company is being called the SWIFT killer? Which company has been positioning a digital asset to become a global reserve digital asset? Which company is working with the banks and governments? Which company has their tech integrated with leading? I think I missed a thing here. So what the US needs is to try to gain some advantage while they still hold the US dollar advantage, but time is running out. The US economy is doing poorly, and a Great Depression awaits if nothing is done. Depression, they have no tools to fight and risk sinking the world with it. Getting close to that. Remember that the world has their currencies pegged to the US dollar. If the US sinks, it's taken the world with it. What we see today is there are major problems. This is causing money to flow out of other currencies and into the US dollar and bonds for safety. Guys, this is happening as we speak. This is crashing the value of global currencies. This means those nations are experiencing inflations they cannot control because to trade they need expensive dollars. They risk further destabilizing the world, which is already in turmoil. The United Nations saw this back in 2008. The UN called for a new world currency to replace the US dollar. They understood what was coming. Some say the UN knows what's coming because of what comes next. Some say after the US global domination ends, the world will submit to the United Nations. And then we had read that. Banking and payment software providers to allow for a flip the switch ease of access. There are roughly 2,000 cryptos. If you've said Ripple and XRP, you are dead right. This is no accident or speculation. This is fact. I challenge you to prove me wrong. What does this all mean? It means after hundreds of years of different sovereign currencies dominating, leader to failure after failure, the US dollar will be the last sovereign currency to ever hold the position of a global reserve currency. Do you think the Bank of England's governor, Mark Carney, calling for a Libra-like digital currency to replace the US dollar was just some uncalculated talk? Do you think Brad Garlinghouse meeting with central bankers in Switzerland was for nothing? XRP is loved by the IMF and Bank of International Settlements. This is no coincidence. Ripple has been captured since 2014. Their goals have been directed by hidden hands. Their team boosted and filled by hidden hands. What you see is just the surface. This is no longer a speculative asset as it were back in 2015 and 2016. Things are clear. The tech Ripple offers and provides cannot be matched by any other today. Interledger protocol is game changer. This allows trade to be conducted using any currency or asset. This links up the financial world. ILP, Interledger Protocol, is like veins to a body and XRP is its blood. We are entering a brand new world. We won't recognize it when the dust settles. Changes are coming. We have to wait for negotiations to complete. In life, we cannot be certain about much, but I've never been more certain of XRP becoming the world digital reserve asset. Its value may seem low today, and that's not because the insiders, banks, institutions don't know about it. The biggest players have purchased their shares via OTC over the counter, so you and I don't see their moves. It is the 99% who will come flooding in when the word is released. They can keep value low until negotiations are complete, and then Trump will sign an executive order or the UN will make a move first if this negotiation takes too long. After that, it's just a matter of flipping a switch and everyone can access XRP liquidity without knowing. Everything is falling into place. A few years back, we were laughed and mocked at for laying out the plans, but now we know even the central bankers are calling for a new world currency to replace the US dollar dominance. There's no stopping this. The die is cast, XRP the standard. Since most countries can't afford to be on a gold-backed currency and we won't have another sovereign currency backed by gold to rule them all, what we see is a gold-valued XRP coming to rule them all. This will be the anchor to which every currency values against. Speaking of gold-valued XRP, we see the lender of last resort, the IMF, taking control of the XRP escrow. Ripple is too small to be so big to handle this by themselves. The doors have been unlocked for Ripple. They have been invited into the houses of power. Some ask, why would Ripple hand over the 50 billion plus XRP to someone else free of charge? Ripple is a software company. They sell software. It's a matter of convenience. The world powers help them and they help the world powers. Their personal XRP holdings are incented to hand it over. Some say Ripple are scammers and XRP is a scam. How blinded by hatred are these people? Just look at who Ripple hires and works with. That alone would tell you more than you need to know. There's no alternatives. We will move away from the USD standard to the XRP standard. There we go. So the value of XRP will begin its rise in Asia. Then the US, IMF, World Bank, UN throw their support behind it. Meanwhile, Western too big to fail banks, institutions, insider elites have already been stocking up on XRP via over-the-counter. Peasants of the East and West will know about it last. The XRP journey is confirmed to begin in Asia. Western powers such as the US, IMF, World Bank are allowing it so they can pretend they played no major role in XRP becoming digital gold. 50 billion plus XRP in escrow will still go to IMF eventually to reliquify the system. This will signal the end of American Western dominated financial superiority and liberate nations from the stranglehold of the US dollar. Seems like they want to kill SWIFT. I think R3 is a lifeline for SWIFT, but not sure for how long. And then you have this. Behind the curtain, what's happening right now? Transfer of the system west to east. You have SWIFT. The dollar system is now gone. However, fiat is here to stay. You have HSBC, Hong Kong-based bank, plays a key role here in transfer system old to new. Liquidities are still flowing at the moment, left to right. Gold is back with his new friend, the standard of the new economy. XRP, AIIB. Mr. Trump, Xi, and Putin are ready to push the plan. Faster the plan rolls out, the better. Nobody will control the new financial system. SWIFT's system soon to be replaced. It won't be there for long. Before 2020 or by 2020, change of structure will absolutely occur. Digital credit, trusted liquidity will soon to be injected, which will be XRP. AIIB use of CIPS, beginning a quantum financial system new before or by 2020. Gold-based XRP true liquidity as real-time settlement. And then you had this along with it, which is him saying about it will start in the West. And then there's this. So the account got restricted back in 2020. Also, too, Tony Valentino's theory on Ripple's website, they had an article. And it said, we remain more committed than ever to the simple goal of making XRP the world's reserve digital currency. So that's it, guys. That's the Tony Valentino insider quotations conspiracy. A lot of things he said is playing out now. There was way more back in the day, but it seems to have disappeared in the archives. But with what he has said, it seems like what's going on this year is a sign that we are very close to the grand finale, especially how he said it's going to start in the West. And I believe the Moscow World Standard and the banning of paper gold in China and Russia, which is happening next week, is going to play a valuable role in this, and how Russia and the BRICS nations are talking about building a new world reserve currency and them launching their central bank digital currency soon. It's all basically connecting together. So that's it, guys. That's it for the video. I'll be doing a market update today, and I'll see you in the Discord.